Book 1, Skydream Iceworm. Chapter 2.2, Skydream Iceworm. The strength of a soul ring was based off of how many years the soul beast had cultivated for. The better a soul ring was, the stronger the skill it would grant to a soul master. White soul rings were those formed by a 10-year soul beast. All soul beasts that had cultivated between 10 and 100 years would produce a white-colored soul ring when they were killed. The baboon that Huo had luckily managed to kill was undoubtedly a 10-year soul beast, and a 10-year soul ring had also clearly appeared in front of Huo. Unfortunately, the soul ring wasn't one he could absorb. Although Huo didn't have any experience at killing soul beasts, and couldn't see what type of existence the baboon was, he was certain that the baboon wasn't a spiritual type soul beast. Therefore, its soul ring was thus even more unsuited for him. He wanted to check the baboon's condition, but a wave of both pain and soreness flooded his body when he was about to stand up. His excessive nervousness from earlier caused him to be unable to use any strength at all now. Combined with the pain from his shoulders, the exertion of force caused him to let out a muffled groan, and almost caused him to faint. He was only 11 after all. The determination in his heart had even wavered slightly, after the battle that he just experienced. The amount of spiritual type soul beasts that existed was extremely little, yet he'd almost been killed by the first soul beast he'd encountered. Furthermore, this had only been a 10-year soul beast. What if he'd encountered a 100-year soul beast? He would have had absolutely no chance of even narrowly escaping, simply because it was impossible for luck to be with him at all times. The miraculous power that had momentarily been released from the white tiger dagger obviously couldn't make up for his weak strength. What should I do? Huo struggled to barely sit up. He leaned against the tree that he'd previously flown into, and gasped for breath. I can't die, I'll definitely succeed. I still have to seek justice for my mother, I can't give up like this. Huo tightly clenched his teeth, and unceasingly hardened his conviction. However, the scenes from his previous battle with the baboon continuously let him know that he had been overestimating his capabilities. Huo's mind was filled with an empty feeling, and he didn't know what to do. Suddenly, a voice echoed out inside of his mind, without any prior warning. Finally, I've met a spiritual type human. What a pity that this brother can't cry. If I could, my face would definitely be covered with tears. Huo was startled. He didn't understand why a voice had suddenly appeared inside of his mind. However, at this moment, the ground beneath him suddenly trembled without any prior warning. Cracks began to appear on the ground 2 meters in front of him, and then gradually expanded until they turned into a crevice. A dim golden white light faintly shone from within the crevice. What is this? Another soul beast? Huo subconsciously gripped the white tiger dagger tightly, and nervously gazed at the crevice that was gradually expanding. If it wasn't for his aching body, he might have already run away. An icy chill was released from the crevice, which caused the surrounding temperature to drop. The area of the crevice gradually increased, and after a moment, its diameter had reached 5 meters wide, causing the true appearance of the golden white light to finally be revealed. It was a plump and fat-looking head with a diameter of over 1 meter. After it slowly wiggled its body and managed to climb up, its entire body was revealed. Its body was over 7 meters long. Following its appearance, the surrounding temperature became so cold that Huo was able to see his own breath, and it caused him to be unable to help but shiver a few times. This was definitely a soul beast, yet it unexpectedly resembled a silkworm. However, it was God knows how many times larger than a normal silkworm. Its body was the same color as white jade, sparkled, and was translucent. Although it had dug itself out from the earth, there wasn't any dirt on its brilliant skin at all. Halos of light moved about underneath its epidermis, and it unexpectedly had a small pair of eyes on its head that flickered with a golden light. Strangest of all, golden patterns were engraved on its body at certain intervals, starting half a meter from its head. From head to tail, it had a total of 10 golden patterns. A look of despair appeared on Huo's already nervous face as he gazed at its enormous body. It has such an enormous body, and it has the power to change the temperature. It's at least 100-year soul beast. It's over, everything's over. Don't be scared, don't be scared. This brother won't harm you. The voice from before echoed out in Huo Yuhao's mind once again, and the enormous silkworm nodded its head. Its huge head then drooped downwards, before stopping a meter away from Huo Yuhao. It even emitted a faintly fragrant odor from its body. Huo Yuhao said in a startled tone, "Are you the one that's talking to me?" The enormous silkworm nodded its head in response, and its voice continued to echo out inside of his mind. It's obviously this brother that's speaking. Did you get captivated by my beautiful body? After realizing that the enormous silkworm didn't have any evil intentions, Huo Yuhao's taut heartstrings relaxed a bit. What do you want to do? The silkworm replied, "First off, let me introduce myself. I am the embodiment of heroism and chivalry. A king of kings amongst soul beasts, who is both equally smart and good-looking. I'm an absolute expert, one who has cultivated for 1,000,000 years. I'm the Skydream Iceworm who's set the record for the longest lifespan in the Douluo continent. Yup, you can call me Brother Skydream." Huo Yuhao's eyes instantly turned lifeless. Million-year soul beast. The Skydream Iceworm's age differed from his prediction by a factor of 10,000 times. Furthermore, were there really such existences as million-year soul beasts in the world? The strongest soul beast on the Douluo continent should only be 100,000 years old. The Skydream Iceworm, who was clearly pleased with himself, said, "Aren't you in awe? Aren't you really excited? You're the first human who's seen my almighty figure." Huo Yuhao blankly said, "Then what do you want to do?" The Skydream Iceworm's voice suddenly became serious. "This brother wants to become your soul ring, the Douluo continent's first ever intelligent soul ring." "Ah?" Huo Yuhao looked at the Skydream Iceworm in front of him with a dumbstruck expression. He'd momentarily lost his ability to think. Everything that had occurred so far had simply been too sudden. Admittedly, he did thirst for a soul ring. However, in the past, the soul ring that he'd wanted to obtain was simply a 10-year soul ring. He'd never had any extravagant hopes. Yet, at this moment, a massive silkworm that could talk had suddenly dug itself out from beneath the ground, had told him that it was an almighty million-year soul beast, and that it wanted to become his soul ring. This made Huo Yuhao completely unable to understand what was going on at all. Furthermore, he didn't know whether the Skydream Iceworm was telling the truth or not. However, the enormous silkworm in front of him wasn't something that he could hope to fight, regardless of whether it was telling the truth or not. The Skydream Iceworm's enormous head turned in the direction of the great Stardew forest, and carefully scanned it. Then, it turned back towards Huo Yuhao and said,